Alrighty, guys, got an email this morning. Wasn't from a Dream Center, it was from a donor. And I think she had been in fundraising before or something. And she was asking, here's how it was. So we are so blessed to be able to say that as of 2018, the Dream Center finally became a 100% facility. And so we have this 100% pledge, which essentially says that all individual donations through the website, through the P.O. box, through checks, through different special projects, so all those individual financial donations contribute or go 100% to the program. There's 0% administrative overhead costs. So my salary does not come from any of the donations. Our executive team, none of our salaries come from the individual donations. 100% goes to that. Now here, let me just say that I don't think this is a bad thing if you're doing that. The IRS typically, from what I'm told, they like you to not have more than 20% of your overhead going to your administrative overhead going to programs. And so there's some things you can do along the way to get toward the 100%. So anyway, and I'm going to go over those. The donor was writing in saying, how can you guys say that 100% of your my donation goes toward this? And she wasn't being like nitpicky or anything. She was just saying, how does this work? And she said, because even this email costs you something, and you've probably got a development team that costs money. And so our reply back to her was similar to what we have on the website, but with some more information. And essentially it's this. So this is all done through an internal designation. And so what that means is that our accounting team internally, when the money comes in, it's designated internally as just for whatever program that it came to. Now, even if it's general operations, that's just general program operations. The way we were able to, there were a couple things we did to get to the 100% mark. The one was we started to, on a lot of our fundraising pieces, they were equally, so our, I'm sorry, let me back up. So our 18% overhead, it used to be, was about 5% administrative cost, about 10% fundraising, and about 3% like insurances and things like that. And so the way we got away with that was, or the way we kind of got out of that trench was our direct mail pieces. What we realized was that a lot of those pieces, a lot of the work that we did was not only fundraising appeal wise, it was also education in nature, it was also awareness in nature. And so there is a like per how many paragraphs per page or sentences per page qualifier for this that you should Google and you should check out. But essentially what this rule says is that if your piece that's going out has X amount of percentage of awareness in it, or education in it, education people on trafficking, for example, or safety tips or things, if there's a certain percentage of that piece, then that piece doesn't have to be counted toward fundraising. It can be accounted towards some of your program costs, your awareness costs. The other thing we did was work with one of our private foundations who gives money every month, who is very endeared to the Dream Center, knows the Dream Center, and we worked with them to ask them to say, hey, can we designate your amount of money that you give every month? Can we designate that to just administrative overhead? You understand the importance of overhead, and by the way, we think this is going to help us in our fundraising to be able to say that this goes. So if like many of you Dream Centers, you have a church, like a mother church who is giving you funding, for you to be able to internally designate all or part of that to just your admin salaries. And then again, the key is to free up the individual donations to be just used for programs in the ministry. That helped us to really kind of inch that down. So then we got down to about 5 or 8% still not covered. And so that final leg, and this is probably not for everyone, but for us it was covered by what we call business revenue. And so over the last 5-6 years, we've started a social enterprise chapter in what we do, and it's a job training program. And so it's Things like we have a couple thrift stores now, and the thrift stores generate some revenue for the Dream Center. We sell different goods that are donated to us for the purpose of being sold. We don't just sell donations without the donor not knowing about it, But for example, there's a t-shirt company down here in Phoenix that gives us all their old t-shirts. They're like, yeah, we don't care. Use them for the people. You can sell them if you want. And so things like that. We also get couches and TVs and things that we have plenty of the Dream Center. I mean, we're not sitting around needing new partially used couches every week. And so if the donor is okay with it, and we have two different receipts, then we sell we'll sell that at our thrift store. But anyway, these thrift stores also create job opportunities for our people, so they're social enterprises. So the revenue then from these small businesses, and one of them is a vending machine, one of them is an on-site cafe, a coffee shop, one of them is a t-shirt print shop business, one of them is facility rentals. And so the revenue that comes in from that, we again, through an internal designation, designate that revenue to go just to the admin side of life. And so by doing really those three things, we were able to get our 18% overhead down to zero, which is pretty amazing, right? So what we're able to then say to donors is, and here's where the message gets confusing and where it got confusing for the donor that emailed us. We're not saying we have no overhead, and we're very clear about that. Of course, we have overhead. We have administrative costs. We have executive level salaries. We have insurance. We have the things that people don't want. What we are saying is that certain avenues of revenue that come in, certain donations that come in from a certain way, which is the website, the PO box, direct mail, that money, which is mostly from individual donors. So that's the conversation we're having with individual donors. And so that money then gets through an internal designation. We say, okay, that money is just going to be used for program. So I hope that's been helpful. I know it's kind of as clear as mud. I will say that other organizations, we've built our model off other organizations that have the 100% model, and one of them that I highly encourage you to check them out, because they're very open about how they do this, but it's Charity Water. So Scott and his people over at Charity Water is where I really learned some of this from. They really took things one step further, and they've set up separate, to my understanding, the way I read their website and talking to them, is that they've set up a completely separate entity and a separate foundation, and they fundraise separately, saying, okay, we understand that some of our base understand the importance of overhead, and so if you want your gift to just go toward administrative salaries, executive salaries, and things like that, then that's where that money will go. So hope that's been helpful, giving you some ideas on how to get there. Now here's the question: why would you want to do that? And so I think that in an ideal world, like the donor, the community that I'm looking around at here, in an ideal world, they would understand fully that you have overhead, and that it's important, and that it's an important part of it. But I'll be quite honest with you, that I don't want to say maturity level, but that level of understanding of how even business works and nonprofit work, that is not a largely shared body of understanding amongst your donor base. What is a large body of understanding is the perceived impact value of what they're giving. In their minds, they're giving 100% of their money toward the cause, toward the thing that makes them want to give. And unless you've been able to do a successful fundraiser on raising your salary for your development officer or your executive director or your insurance bill, unless you've been able to really do that, it doesn't compute with a lot of people. And so you'll see, and I encourage you to do this: sign up for and donate to other nonprofits, especially the larger ones. Even if it's $10, look at their materials. A lot of them will put that out there. Hey, 15%, we're only 15% overhead. We're only 5% overhead. The reason they do that is because they know that is a part of the justification thought process in a lot of donors minds. And I think it's perpetuated by, you hear these horror stories sometimes. Like I just read a story a couple days ago about it was on LinkedIn about this certain nonprofit who they someone went through their 990, their financial statement, and kind of did the math, computed, and they're like, oh wow, like only half of their donations actually get passed on to other charities. And this is a very like widely known, their little sticker, I won't say who they are, but their little sticker is in the door of many businesses that you go in, right? And so they were exposed, and in a small level, hopefully for their sake, that they're they keep a lot of that money to just run the engine, and very few actually goes to the final cause. And so more and more, I mean, one of those stories will stick with your donor base for much longer than realizing that most nonprofits don't operate that way. So hope this has been helpful. I think that for us, the marketing value of that, we have seen a marked improvement. So if we do a lot of split testing, highly recommend split testing. If you send traffic, 500 people a day to two different landing pages, and one of the pages says nothing about the ratio, and one of the pages has our little 100% guarantee. The 100% guarantee will beat it every time, sometimes as much as 40, 50%. And by beat it, what I mean is a 40 or 50% increase in the number of people that are donating on the page that says you have the 100% versus the page that really says nothing about it at all. So I don't know if there's value or not non-value in saying that it's 90% or 80% or however you want to cut the turkey, but I do think that if you want to get to that 100% level, there is a path to get there. It's not easy, but you can get there, and it's beneficial. Hope this has been helpful. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.